Surah Yaseen, the heart of the Quran, a powerful story of life, death, and mercy.
In Islam, knowledge is not merely information. It is a divine light placed within the heart. This light guides our decisions, showing us right from wrong. True knowledge corrects intentions before it corrects actions. And when knowledge enters the heart, actions naturally follow. The more a believer learns, the more humble he becomes. Through knowledge, hearts grow closer to Allah. Knowledge shapes how we live, speak, and treat others. May Allah grant us beneficial knowledge that remains a light throughout our lives. But darkness is not always of the night. Sometimes it lives within the human heart. When truth appears, it does not create hatred, it exposes it. Arrogance cannot tolerate guidance because guidance demands humility. Unchecked pride slowly transforms into hatred and hostility. Many reject guidance not because it is unclear, but because it challenges their ego. Eyes may see clearly, yet hearts remain blind to the truth. Arrogance hardens the heart until guidance no longer enters. Only humility allows the light of truth to enter the heart. Islam was spreading quietly through Makkah, entering hearts one by one. The truth of Muhammad was exposing the lies of Quraysh. Quraysh were not angry because Islam was weak, but because it was true. Their stubbornness, hatred, and pride crossed all limits. To them, the truth had become a threat to their power. Hatred replaced reason, and arrogance silenced conscience. Their hearts had already decided what their tongues would soon declare. That night, Quraysh made a final decision, the decision to kill. They came armed with swords and stones, driven by hatred. The leaders of Quraysh gathered around the house of the Prophet ﷺ. Their intention was one: to end this message forever. They waited in silence, watching the door. They did not know that Allah's plan was already unfolding. But inside the house, a miracle was about to begin. But this was the messenger of Allah. There was no fear, only complete trust in Allah. There was no panic, no hesitation, no trace of fear.
And he began to recite the verses of Surah Yaseen.
Allah placed barriers before them and behind them, and their sight was taken away. He passed directly before them, yet none of them saw him. He placed dust upon their heads, yet their eyes remained open and blind. The swords remained in their hands, But Allah had taken away their sight. They stood there all night, waiting, convinced he was still inside. They were certain that their plan had succeeded. As morning arrived, the darkness slowly lifted.
They entered the house, expecting to find him inside.
He was gone. The one they were watching had already passed between them. They realized their eyes had been open, yet they had seen nothing. Allah had protected His messenger without a single sword being raised. But this was only the beginning of trials yet to come. With a final hope, the Messenger of Allah Annishuha set out toward Ta'if. Zaid ibn Haritha walked beside him.
If their call was met with cruelty and mockery. Stones were thrown, one after another, without mercy.
His body was wounded, and blood flowed from his blessed feet.
Wounded and exhausted, they reached a garden outside the city.
In that moment of pain, his heart turned fully toward Allah.
In that garden, wounded and alone, the Messenger of Allah raised his hands in supplication.
He spoke of his weakness, his pain, and his loneliness before Allah. The heavens listened to every word of his prayer.
Then an angel descended from the heavens, Malakul Jibal.
The angel said, "If you permit, these people can be crushed between two mountains." At that moment, the fate of an entire people awaited his decision. But he chose mercy over revenge. He hoped that from their descendants would rise those who worship Allah alone. That evening, there was no new revelation, only silence and pain.
Yet the words of Surah Yaseen echoed once more in his heart. By the wise Quran, surely you are among the messengers.
Those words became balm upon wounded hearts. It was as if Allah Himself was saying, "You are not alone." The pain remained, but its meaning changed. The message did not end in Ta'if. It lived on. Surah Yaseen was not only comfort for him, but a message for all hearts. Surah Yaseen was not only comfort, it carried a warning. A day will come when the earth itself will tremble. Graves will burst open and the dead will rise. They will say, "Who has raised us from our resting place?" This is what the Most Merciful promised, and the messengers spoke the truth. No soul will be wronged, and none can escape. That day humanity will stand divided into two paths.
Surah Yaseen calls every living heart to reflect before that day arrives.
On that day, the people of paradise will be lost in joy and peace.
They will rest in shade, far from every fear and hardship. In the Lyle, fruits of every kind will be brought close, without effort. There will be no fear, no grief, only joy.
Al-kaymuna maya. Whatever they desire will be granted.
Families will be reunited, hearts completely at peace.
And then Allah Himself will address them.
Peace be upon you, a word from a most merciful Lord.
Surah Yaseen does not speak only of the hereafter. It speaks to the living. Every verse asks the heart, now that you have heard, what will you do? Some hearts awaken, some turn away, but the call reaches all.
Loss becomes patience. Success becomes responsibility.
Death is no longer an ending, but a return.
Some people walk alive, yet their hearts are asleep.
Surah Yaseen revives hearts before bodies reach their end.
The message has reached us. The choice now is ours. When the journey ends, silence remains, and meaning settles in the heart. Quran was not sent to be admired, it was sent to be lived. Change before the last breath, before the final return. Some graves contain bodies, others contain hearts still walking. Surah Yaseen brings light where hope feels lost.
O Allah, do not make us mere reciters of your book.
Make us among those who live the Quran, not just read it. And when our final moment comes, let your words be our peace. The Prophet in Muhammad said, recite Surah Yaseen for your deceased.
But this was not only for those in graves. In graves.
Some people walk alive, yet their hearts are dead. Surah Yaseen brings life to hearts that have forgotten Allah. For the broken soul, Surah Yaseen opens the door of hope. Before we are carried to graves, our hearts must awaken.
With the first light of morning, a believer turns to Surah Yaseen.
Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu narrated a promise tied to its recitation.
Tasks remain, but their weight is lifted.
The heart walks the day, trusting Allah completely. When Yaseen becomes a habit, ease becomes a companion. There are days when the heart feels heavier than the body.
when choices confuse and direction disappears.
The elders would say, when life feels heavy, recite Surah Yaseen. You open the Quran and the noise begins to quiet. What was heavy begins to soften. Fear slowly steps aside and trust takes its place.
Sometimes life becomes loud, too loud to think. Even in silence, the heart can feel crowded. In that noise, the heart turns back to Surah Yaseen.
The noise does not fight, it fades. Faith becomes quiet strength, steady and unshaken. Sukoon enters, not as excitement, but as certainty. Faith becomes quiet strength, steady and unshaken.
What lies beyond the final breath, no one can see, yet everyone wonders.
Once again, the heart turns to Surah Yaseen. Fear does not vanish, it softens into trust. Surah Yaseen prepares the heart before the journey begins.
When the final moment comes, Surah Yaseen becomes peace.
At the final moment, words fade, but meaning remains.
Surah Yaseen is recited softly, close to the heart.
Mercy feels closer than fear.
In that moment, no soul is truly alone. The promise of peace echoes in the heart.
With Surah Yaseen, the soul returns in peace. Some walk, speak, and breathe, yet their hearts no longer feel.
Surah Yaseen awakens hearts before bodies reach the grave.
As long as breath remains, the door is still open. As long as breath remains, the door is still open.
O Allah, make us among those who live your words. And when our final moment comes, let Surah Yaseen be our peace.